There is so much in this book, Eroticism by Georges Bataille, and it's repeated in every chapter basically, so it's a little bit hard to summarize. It's from 1957, and Georges Bataille was a French philosopher, or maybe rather essayist. His basic concept is discontinuity and continuity. As human beings, we are discontinuous beings, meaning we are disconnected from everyone else. This leads to us feeling very alone because no one else can know exactly how we are feeling. And therefore we have a longing for continuity. Continuity as in the unity with all other human beings. And that's the basic concept, and from that everything else can be derived, such as sexual attraction being the longing for or the possibility of continuity, the feeling of continuity with another human being. So that is eroticism. But Georges Bataille also brings in death into this, because he argues that the ultimate continuity can only occur through death, as in the actual literal death of a human being. And that's a dilemma, because no one wants to die, but at the same time we long for the feeling that only death can give us, the feeling of continuity. And that's why all of our pop culture is so infused with imagery of death. That's why religions have animal and even human sacrifice, because death disrupts us. And death is something irrational that we can't grasp, and that makes us infinitely fascinated by it. But sex is an alternative to death, and orgasm is sometimes called the little death, because sex also disrupts us. It's also something that we can't grasp. It belongs to the irrational side of life, and as human beings we are rational. Another key concept that must be mentioned is the idea of taboos, because the taboos basically separate us, or our rational side, from this dangerous side of death and sex. Animals or other animals don't have taboos, and that's why taboos, or you can call it rules or culture, that's what makes us human. But the thing is that a key point here is that taboos are there in order to be violated, Bataille writes. And this is interesting, because it's as if life is this continuous interplay of taboos and the transgression of taboos. The transgression of taboos is even codified through religion, or through society at large. I mean, what is war? You have a taboo, which is you shouldn't kill, and then you have war, which is a transgression, an organized, institutionalized transgression of that taboo. And Bataille writes that, but wait a minute, if we were going to be logical and rational here, we would have to either stop all wars, because they go against the taboo on killing, or realize that, or acknowledge that wars are hypocritical, because you kill despite you shouldn't kill. But the error here is to think rationally about taboos, and taboos are irrational. Okay. Yeah, so I think that this is a little bit about what the book is about. I will not go into any detail now, but I took quite a lot of notes in every chapter. I think one of the most interesting things was this idea of how the transgression of taboos, both when it comes to sex and when it comes to killing, it can be seen in feast days, religious feast days, which exist everywhere, and when people for a few days go crazy. I know that Alain de Botton writes about this in Religion for Atheists, that we need, or all religions have seen the need for having these feast days when everyone go crazy for a few days, but then there's a recoil and we go back to normal and we start following rules again, because humans realize that without rules we are doomed. Without rules we would just fuck around in the abyss the whole day. We need rules, we need work in order to stop us from satisfying our desires instantly. So there's a lot of interplay here of work, rules or taboos, and the transgression of taboos, and the fascination of death and its little sibling, sex. I think that sums up, where do we have it? Georges Bataille, Eroticism. Not recommended. Read a summary of it instead of reading the book. That's my recommendation.